Manipulate the stream. Hopefully we didn't like kick Ben off the stream. If anybody here? Anybody in the room yet?
Nobody was streaming. I caught some funny comments in the next level chat when they thought I wasn't there.
Oh, really? Oh, we'll have to talk. We can talk about that. We got one person in the room here ready to watch. We're trying to live tweet, build this room up. You get the backstage portion of the show here with myself and the vet, the one lone watcher. It's probably the vet in the chat.
That's me, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe, yeah. When Ray was trying to get over the whole run-in thing, then some people were commenting on it. I could see some people were like, "Oh, Vet's pretty cool on the podcasts and stuff like that." And then there was a couple of people that had some less than favorable reactions, like not outright negative, but I was just kind of like, okay, all right.
Fuck him, Vet. Fuck him.
Yeah, but that's all right.
That's okay.
How could someone that calls himself opinion haver begrudge anybody having an opinion, especially about me?
It's true. That's true. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Your Impact Attack. And I am Colin Wysong, and we are back with another week of exciting action at Impact Wrestling as we get closer and closer to the pay-per-view Against All Odds on Impact Plus. Busy night here, but before I get into that, I have to introduce the main event of this show. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's not Strangler Steve. It's the Vet. Vet, tell everybody how you're doing today. How's it going? You're very hot today. You know, you're the first time here debuting in a tank top, while I am like wearing a hoodie.
You look like you're in the Arctic somewhere.
I am, yes. Not really. It's actually really hot, so I might have to like strip down a little bit later. But I didn't want to I have my work shirt on, and this is an old work sweatshirt. I don't work at that god awful place anymore, so I can rock it and talk shit about it on camera. It's totally okay. The Vet is mad, and it's my fault. Yes, Big Ray. It is all your fault. Ray, he comes in to say that, and I think he leaves.
Yeah, he can leave. But when he goes back to listen to it, you got to do something about that run-in drop. I'm not coming in if you got something that... Who was that? Colin? Was that Colin on that drop doing that little weak-ass accent? We got him running by the Vet.
That was
it sounded like Jimmy Hart was being strangled right before he passed away. What the hell was that? I ain't running into that, you know.
The Vet deserves better, Big Ray, and you know better than that. You've done way better intros. How dare you put the least amount of work into a Vet intro like that? Yes, you should throw yourself out of a window. Yes, and it was you all along.
And he stooged it off at the start, like
right,
completely killing the entire surprise.
Hey guys, guess what? CM Punk's coming back tonight. CM Punk. He's going to be in the Impact Zone.
That's right.
Hey, guys, guess what? Steve Macklin. He's going to be on the show later. Steve Macklin.
Not Burt Macklin, FBI?
Not Burt Macklin. We're going to have Steve Macklin, and he's going to be drinking some Jameson. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That was the big surprise.
Then you shouldn't have said it. Okay.
Then you shouldn't have said it. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, Tony Khan. But we're here.
How can you call a run-in? It's like... what? Yeah, that sounds like Josh Matthews would do. You don't want to be like Josh Matthews, do you, Big Ray?
What did you just say to me?
I don't think you do.
No,
is that Triple H?
That was Triple H. That was Triple Hameen there on the drop. But look, since Ray's here, I'm gonna hit him with this one. There you go, Big Ray. I hope you like.
Big Ray says surprises don't exist in pro wrestling anymore. Yeah, because people like you.
Unfortunately, he is wrong
You're
about that
killing the business,
because
Ray.
Mark Henry didn't tell shit to anyone that he was appearing in AEW, and no one knew. And that was a huge, giant surprise when Mark Henry walked out. No one knew about that.
Nice segue. Nice segue. What do you think about that, Colin? Let's talk about that for a minute.
I do. No, we're not going to talk about that, Ray. But I do. I think if he's there, so I listen to Busted Open. Mark Henry's one of the hosts there. He uses that as an open platform to really talk about his knowledge of pro wrestling, especially with him and Bully and Tommy Dreamer. They talked about kayfabe. They talk about all this like serious stuff, and it's a good platform if you want to sit under these guys' learning tree and learn kind of the insider terms and the inside of the business and stuff like that. But he worked with the WWE. He's a talent scout. He gave the WWE Bianca Belair. He tried to give the WWE Jade Cargill, but he takes both of these women he found and pushed along the way. He probably coached them. And for a guy that has the pedigree that Mark Henry has, being an Olympic athlete, he's passionate about this, and he said that he wanted to do those types of things in the WWE, but then it got stooged off to him like, hey, Mark, we're making cuts. It's probably not the best time for you to come on board, kind of thing, in that manner. So he took his services elsewhere, and he's going to be the coach, and he's going to be a guy who is going to instill the Rip Rogers way into a lot of these performers in AEW. Like, he literally talked about that today. Him and Dave LaGreca were putting over the Rip Rogers and talking about how, like, Rip they were reviewing Impact, and they were talking about the Iron Man match that we're going to talk about later, and Rip made Mark Henry go for an hour, and Mark was like, at the 41-minute mark, he's like, I just laid on the canvas and could not go anymore, and it was just like, pin me, do whatever, I don't care. And Rip was like he was like, I'm sorry, tried to apologize to Rip, and Rip was like, don't apologize, I didn't think that you could go 60 minutes. You surprised me going 40 minutes. And Rip really put him over, and Henry continuously puts Rip over, like, and it's been recently that he's been putting Rip over like this too, because I think within the last month or two, Rip's really starting to gain some traction as a person that should be taken seriously with his opinions and the way that he's brought up people in professional wrestling. I mean, not only the guys here at Humming Media that praise Rip Rogers, but you've got guys like Randy Orton, you've got Mark Henry, you've got Serena Deeb, you've got like all of these talented performers that can basically trace their legacy back to a guy that worked hand in hand with Macho Man. Like these two guys, like Rip Rogers is a legend, and he deserves a lot more credit in this business than what he gets. But aside from Rip Rogers, I like Mark Henry in AEW. I think he's going to be able to kind of grab some of those guys by the neck and really get them straight and keep them on the straight and narrow, because he's a no-nonsense guy. I've heard plenty of his stories about, having to learn respect from guys like The Undertaker. Like, he told a story about them going and drinking in Japan, and he got a little too much in him, and he was like being belligerent towards the cops. And he said as he had that cop up against the wall and was like really going into him, this hand just grabbed him by the neck and said, like, Mark, we're going back to the hotel. And he looked up, and it was Taker, and he said, my ass went back to the hotel. Like, so, I mean, a guy that shows respect for the business and has the utmost respect for the business can only do but instill that into those guys in AEW, and hopefully he'll get the refs in shape. Hopefully he'll get these guys to be a little more serious about their business and their character development and stuff like that. Probably won't happen. We'll probably see him in the ring more than likely, putting guys over like Christian Cage is, but I think Mark Henry is a great signing for AEW and for those guys in the locker room.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Mark Henry is not the first guy that AEW has signed that can be very helpful. They've got just as many guys behind the scenes that can be very helpful as they do guys in front of the camera to make the promotion successful as an action, with the in-ring action and stuff like that. The problem is we're not seeing the level of wisdom show up in the ring in the matches. So I'm not really sure what all those guys are doing. Like, I don't know. I don't know what guys like Dean Malenko are doing. I don't know what guys like Tully Blanchard are doing. I mean, he's part of some of the on-screen action, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, that's not his main. That's not his main thing. But they've got these guys. AEW's making like all the right moves in terms of putting the pieces into place, but they're not using the pieces right. You know, that's the thing. It's kind of disappointing. Every time that they have a new program, they have a chance to like wipe the slate clean and show the reason why they should be the alternative, if not the industry leader now. And they keep making the same mistakes. But the thing is, those mistakes are correctable. And so if you get enough people like Mark Henry in there, eventually somebody's going to have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem is even bigger than the fact of that the work is bad with a lot of like the indie type guys, and they just have like a lot of people and they're not using them. The biggest problem, I think, is that they've hot-shotted 3 years worth of booking into like 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, at a time. Every 6 months could have been expanded out to like year and a half, you know, things like that. And they just keep doing things like there's no tomorrow. And I think now that they've like established themselves somewhat, they can afford to pull back on the speed of the hot-shotting and let some angles actually breathe. And then anytime you get that little glimmer of hope, you know, when you see like a Mark, you know, here comes they bring out Mark Henry. Oh, here's Mark Henry. That's pretty cool. And then what is the next thing that happens? That fucking football field match where you're
Stadium
just like
Stampede.
Yeah, just like, come on, man. Like that, what are we doing? So I don't know, man, but I feel, but that the real big story here is the fact that the WWE is slipping. They're going downhill in lots of different ways. Mm-hmm. They want to talk about profits, but we all know that's because they're not touring.
Yeah.
So it's really just like they are on a huge downward slide, and they are completely oblivious to doing anything about it, and letting guys that can help do something about it. Anybody like a Mark Henry go, they're not using him, so he should go. And same thing with the Big Show. They're not going to use him, they should go. So that's what's really surprising. And then you let other people go that you could have used. You know, what was Braun Strowman was a guy. Yeah. Let's transition into that real quick, because that was a big story of a lot more talent releases this week, which, you know, you can go back and forth on whether they should have or shouldn't have been. You can make a case. I can make a case for, and a lot of people do make, especially here on Hami Media Group, make a case for releasing Braun Strowman, and they want to point to a picture of him wearing, you know, Daisy Dukes or whatever. But that's like the least of the problems. The problems is, you have to look at how does the WWE miss on a guy like that as bad as they missed on him, you know, rather than take a guy that was like a dream talent for a guy like Vince. Like think of all the guys like the Warlords and the Brockuses and like those guys. That's what. Yeah, and that's the guys that Vince wanted. And then you get a guy who can actually athletically do the things that you were hoping for those guys in the past to do. That's as big or bigger than those guys. More impressive, like a real athlete. You know what I mean? That can, you know, he wasn't the greatest, but I mean, they pulled him out of developmental way too early just because of the same thing. They were like, look at him. You know, this like, you see this guy that's 6'8" like this, a strong man, and you're like, we got to get him on TV rather than leaving him in the oven. Right? So they pull him up, then they completely misuse him, then they fuck with him, then they release him. Sonic the Hedge Rat in the place to be. Nice to see Sonic here. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how can the people that stereotypically, like you miss on the things that people stereotype you for doing, which is pushing big guys, right? Like the land of the giants since back in the 70s and stuff like that. Like that's what the WWF was known for. Everybody had to get on steroids because they wouldn't make it in the WWF.
Whoa,
they wouldn't be big
you
enough.
can't say that. He was found not guilty of that.
I'm talking, but I'm talking about the allegations that led to the trial in 1994. I'm talking like everybody's like, if you want to make in the WWF, you got to get on the gas type stuff. That's the company we're talking about, and you miss on Braun Strowman. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, the level of athletes that people are today, they're not as good at playing the sports, but they're better at being athletes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that any football team from today would get trounced by one of those teams from the 80s or 90s, but athletically, their combine numbers are probably way better. Yeah. You know, so now you got guys that can perform the things that you want, and you're marginalizing them, right? So that's the big shocker that we need to take away. It's like, and you know, that's one of the things that Ben Hameen would constantly say is like, protect your business, protect your business, protect your business. WWE killed the business 30 years ago. If they're not going to protect it, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if Braun Strowman wears a tutu or not. Like, he wouldn't be wearing a tutu if the WWE was more serious about their product. Let's put it that way. Or if they were the ones pulling him aside and saying, you know, hey, Braun, you really can't be wearing tutus. We're trying to do something here. You know, rather than...
They're not going to do that.
No, they're not going to do that. What they're going to do is going to be like, oh my God, Braun Strowman wore a tutu. All right, let's bury him. Let's bury him.
And then the body
That's what they do.
It's all the when they find that one little weak link in your armor, they start to go at it. They start to go at it. And he broke. And
but the rib is that they paid him millions of dollars while they were doing that.
Oh, of course.
So what a bunch of dumbasses. Like it's worth that much to them.
Vince's play toys, man. It's Vince is over there playing with his toys. He's gonna spend $1 million to cut the head off of his dolls and shave the hair and do all that other crazy shit. So, you know. But then you could have. But wouldn't it have been? Is it more fun to do that, or is it more fun to be really succecil in the entertainment business like you always wish you were? Like, he really thinks he's up. He's like competing with Hollywood level stuff. Like Vince McMahon really thinks he's doing something, and everyone laughs at him. And I don't know if he's aware of that or if that's what drives him, but. The bottom line is wrestling is a joke, and you can't put anything on your resume regarding wrestling if you're trying to get a job in the entertainment industry. Because even though the entertainment industry is a joke too, it's still just like there's hierarchies, you know. They just look at you like a stunt man.
Yeah, if that, wrestling's just low class. It's low. It's lowest common denominator entertainment. That's how they look at it. No matter how much that the WWE has pulled it out of that stigma. And you know, tried to raise the profile of professional wrestling to sports entertainment to where now it's like an acceptable mainstream thing. Like, even if you don't like it, you just know, oh yeah, the WWE, you know, that's them, you know, but you're still looking down on them somewhat, right? Yeah. And definitely everybody in Hollywood is like, they're not going to hire you to be on your show if you work. That's not going to impress anybody on a resume. So the idea is if you could get your product to that level where people, it may not be their cup of tea, but at least they're not ridiculing you, that should be the goal for them. If Vince McMahon is really like that, if he's really driven, he should be trying to get to that level instead of taking all his money makers and marginalizing them to the degree that no one cares, no one's over, the ratings are constantly declining.
He's going to be the next one that leaves and goes to Hollywood, and that's the thing. Vince is done making stars, except for Roman, who is going to get over and go to Hollywood as soon as he gets the chance to. That's going to be that's the next person that's
already there. He's
already there.
He was in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like big time, because that's what happened with The Rock. You got to think The Rock was started out kind of in a bit parts and stuff like that, and then he took off.
Wait.
Just like Cena. Cena was the Marine.
Wait. I told you wait. Let's first of all
and Batista.
Not compare the situation that The Rock was in to the situation that Roman finds himself in. Right? The Rock was part of the hottest period of wrestling ever.
Oh, and yeah. I remember because Rocky of him. Sucks chance when he came out as Rocky Maivia. That was I was watching wrestling at that time. Hardcore watching wrestling at that time.
Okay, so that's where he comes from. Roman Reigns right now is my analogy of a steak in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So it doesn't matter. Like, he will never reach the success of The Rock. He will reach some success probably, but he won't even reach the success of a John Cena who has not achieved the success of The Rock. John Cena looks like he's trying to be The Rock. It's like, oh, I'm in a Fast and Furious movie, guys. You know, like that kind of
Hey,
a
look at
thing.
me.
Hey, I'm
You
the
can't
voice.
see me.
I'm the voice of the pistachio elephant. You know, like these aren't quite The Rock level, like not quite there, but he's doing good for himself, and Roman can get sort of to that level, but because of the toilet that the WWE is right now, that hurts Roman Reigns' outside chances. It's all the perception. People wanted The Rock for their projects when wrestling was hot.
Yeah.
If wrestling's not hot, what do they care who the biggest star in it is?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Do you see the difference there?
No, I get it. I mean, like an Austin tried to parlay because he was the biggest star and tried to parlay that into a movie career. I mean, The Condemned was okay. I enjoyed The Condemned.
But that was
it's like one movie.
It was not okay, really. It was just, I mean, that's the nicest thing you could say about it. But it was a WWE film also. No one else was going to make The Condemned. You see what I mean? It's like not even anybody in legit Hollywood wanted to take a chance on Austin. You know, just Adam Sandler. You know,
and it's also
like
probably because his stuff with Deborah and all that other stuff. Some of that stuff probably came back to bite him in the ass in Hollywood. Unlike,
come on, we're talking about Hollywood here.
No, I get that, but they play the whole, hey, we're all holier than thou. We don't do all these bad things, and you got to kind of have this clean slate because the minute they find one little bad thing about you, they'll
not back then, not back when Steve Austin was doing it. Really, it was a different deal. But the point is, Steve Austin looks like a specific guy, right? Yeah. And he looks like he could play a specific part, very specific. The Rock is a little more. You could branch out. You know, guys like The Rock and Cena. They can branch out and do a little bit of different things. Even Roman Reigns could probably do something a little bit different. But you see Austin, you just see that the redneck ass kicker guy, no matter what part he plays, because he's not gonna try to branch out from that, or it's not gonna work. It's gonna seem forced.
As Ben likes to say, he can't get in touch with his big gay nerd like some of the other guys can.
Right. Which that's. Again, that's down to, it's not like Austin's writing his own movies. I mean, someone's got to come up with a part for him. There's somebody that could write a great part for Steve Austin that would be perfect for him, that could have some range in it. But who's gonna do it? Who's gonna do it, right? So The Condemned, shut up. So in any case, the point is, Braun Strowman is a huge miss on their part. They should be ashamed for doing it, because even if they do the same thing to a lot of talent, they marginalize the talent. He's the stereotype talent. Large, white, muscular, athletic man. That's
Breaking news. Andrade debuts in AEW. El Idolo is all elite.
Oh, because it's going on right now, huh?
Yeah. El Idolo. Ay, cabrón. That's not an idolo. That's
what is he going by? I mean, that's the nickname, but is he going by is he La Sombra?
I don't know.
Again,
I just saw in the chat Andrade just debuted in AEW. Anyone in the chat, if you don't watch AEW, but continue to watch us, go on a site and let us know in the chat what Andrade is going by. If he's going by La Sombra again, if he's under the mask, or if he's keeping his pretty face out there for everyone to see. Oh, there's also rumors that Charlotte might be pregnant.
You mean aside from the earlier rumors that the WWE doctors put out there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, these are actually real now.
These are real? That's pretty funny. This is Sancho. I am Sancho. Who knows that? Who knows that deep cut?
I do. I totally know that deep cut. That's one of my favorite movies. I gotta get some.
You're Tom Hung. I'm Sancho.
I gotta get some drops from that show. I don't want to sound like a queer or nothing.
Yeah.
I really like Depeche Mode.
You're gonna get us kicked off of YouTube saying that word. Don't say that word.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So
it's a quote from a movie. YouTube, don't kick me off.
Yeah. Right. So yeah.
Oh, Big Ray says it was Tito Santana. He's going as Tito Santana.
Oh, Tito Santana's all elite. Well, they're really bringing in all the guys like Mark Henry and everybody to help out in the back of Tito Santana. So, yeah. Well, that's cool. So yeah, keep AEW on. Just make sure that your audio is on our side because you don't need to really listen.
AEW, just watch the Impact Attack.
You don't need to listen to that. I'll let them do what they want. You know, it's
not a dictatorship. You are a lot kinder than me, sir. You are. I don't even have it kinder than me.
I'm gonna watch it later, but that's usually how I treat AEW. They're like a side thing, and I'm not listening to what they're saying. So that's basically how I treat all of wrestling right now. For the people that haven't heard me say it before, it's like I treat wrestling like radio. You have to get me to look at the screen. Like I have to hear something or see something out of the corner of my eye to get me to pay attention, and that's how I'll know if something's kind of, getting over or not. And AEW I rarely have to pay attention to what they're saying.
A lot of people that watch wrestling like that, Vet. There's a lot of people that are, it's just on, but I'm on my phone the whole entire time.
Mm-hmm. Well, that must be why all the fans think that everything's so great because they're not really paying attention to it.
Yeah, they're not seeing the botches, they're not seeing the missed punches and the craziness that goes on there. And they don't know good creative if it was done right in front of them. That's the sad thing.
Also, if you're a younger fan, right? Like you've only known wrestling to be terrible for a certain point, right? If you started watching
great Attitude Era days, man.
If you started watching, let's say you're 20. Let's say you're just a 20-year-old wrestling fan, right? Let's say you started watching when you were like 9, 10 or whatever. That means wrestling's been terrible as long as you've been alive. That means like you were just getting born when CM Punk was doing a pipe bomb, right? Or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, it's
that wasn't even that good then. It's just the best we had. And then now think of like your whole life you grown up being a wrestling fan and you think this is good. Imagine that. But that's got to be a lot of people, right?
Yeah, no,
because every day is someone's first wrestling show.
Yeah, I just remember a time that like every segment, like I was even excited to switch over on the commercials to like go watch Nitro, like because we would usually watch Raw and switch over to Nitro, and then kind of when the NWO happened, we would start watching that more and then switch over to Raw. But still, like every segment, like I was ready to see Val Venus. What's Val Venus going to do? I was ready to see what DX is going to do. What's Austin going to do? What's the Nation going to do? Like it was the creative and everything was like, what are these people going to do next? And it brought you back. And then Triple H won the title and then he started going over on everybody. And then I got tired of watching wrestling and stopped watching wrestling.
Here's where Colin turns into the Mark and hates Triple H. Yeah, Sonic says that he's going by Andrade. I think Andrade is a shoot middle name. I'm not really sure about that. Don't quote me on that. But yeah. But that's the thing. Even like
it is just like Opie Radio. That would be like having Howard Stern radio with no Howard Stern.
Bro, just think of this though. Just to kind of wrap this up a little bit because we got to move on to Impact.
We're going extra time, just like the Iron Man match tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. So. Think of how you felt about Triple H to the degree that you actually quit watching wrestling for a period. Now, imagine how great it would be to have that stuff. Like, you would give anything for a Triple H now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I seriously would. Because, like, I got back in when Daniel Bryan, like, I literally started watching, like, when Daniel Bryan won both the titles and kind of, did his thing. And that's what brought me back because I was like, this is somebody I could cheer for. Like, I'm excited to watch Daniel Bryan. And in that small little period of wrestling, it was the Fashion Files. I was excited to see the Fashion Police. Like there was little things that I was excited for to watch, and now I'm just like
little
things. Yeah. But
like
now
you're like a starving person begging for a saltine cracker.
Now I'm like and I enjoyed the Elite stuff before they came over to do like before they blew up. Like I was like, oh, let me be this like supporter of these guys. And then now that like I can't watch it anymore because
you're part of the problem, Colin. You're part of the problem. You like the Elite. You're part of the problem.
I did like the Elite.
Everyone should. Well, I said liked. You liked the Elite, and you're part of the problem because you never should have. Oh God, here we go. Oh my God. Oh jeez.
I mean,
it's your fault.
They're killing the business, guys. I found these in the wild. And they were $20 a piece, and I can literally go online and sell them for like $100 because of AEW marks. Thank you, AEW marks.
I don't see you having sold them yet. So
No, because I'm waiting till they go up to like $200 or $300. I want to get them autographed by the
but
Bucks and then flip them.
but you're part of the problem because of people like you, they got as big as they did when that should have got shut down. Like they should have never made it out of whatever whatever they were doing. They should have never got that big. And now people think that's what it is because they're looking at things like they expose the business and then people just think that's how it is. And then they watch like as the popularity of wrestling plummets and they're just like, I don't see what everybody's talking about. I think this is great. Yeah, because the business isn't supposed to be a rib. It can be sometimes, but it's not. The whole thing isn't supposed to be. So they really did have a big hand in killing the business, and you contributed to that. So now you have heat with me.
What did you just say to me?
But you already had heat with me. So thank you, Sonic, for verifying his name. I don't care if it's a spoiler. I mean, everything's a spoiler. We already spoiled that we're gonna see some. What's the guy's name?
Steve Cutler, Steve Macklin.
Burt Macklin?
Burt Macklin later on.
Yeah, he's Burt Macklin. I'm not calling him Steve anything.
He's Macklin.
That's Burt Macklin, FBI.
Well, unfortunately, I did not catch BTI as we jump into this Impact Wrestling review, but it carried over at least 8 minutes left of the match into the opening segment. And like a good improv scene, you start right in the middle, and we're starting right in the middle here, in the middle of this match, as Josh Alexander is up 1-0 with, 8 minutes left, 6 minutes left, 5 minutes left, 4, 3, 2, and with no seconds left on the clock as he's got TJP in this leg lock, and TJP just wants to tap. He wants to tap. He's hairbrushing, not even like trying to hairbrush because he's just like, oh, I want to tap. And then he teases the tap. Then he pulls his hand back. Then he teases the tap. Just way too much here for me. But with 1 second left on the clock, he manages to roll back and get the pin on Josh Alexander to tie it up. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going into overtime. It's sudden death. And it's all Josh Alexander in sudden death as he gets the package pile driver for the win in overtime. This dude looks so beaten up, Vet. Like the blood, like he looked like he went through hell, and TJP was really hitting him with some stiff shots. Like I could tell his eyes were a little puffy, kind of like fighters get in the MMA when they've kind of gotten hit in the face and he's bleeding. He looked beat up in the backstage segment that they had afterwards. But I'm assuming you didn't check out BTI. What were your thoughts on the ending of the match leading up to the overtime? And with an Iron Man match, should we even have overtime after having an hour match?
Well, first off, I promised that I would not watch it on BTI. I promised that last week, if anyone remembers, and I kept true to my promise. I'm a man of my word. What's interesting is having the bleed over. I guess the idea would be that you would want to go back maybe and see the whole thing. Like, wow, this seemed like a good match. I want to watch the other 52 minutes of it or whatever. But since you already know the finish, I very highly doubt that anybody's going to want to go back and do that. Maybe some will. I don't know. But it's quite a it's
honestly
quite a,
sorry to interrupt, but the most exciting part of the match was literally the last 5 minutes of the match, and then the sudden death. I don't think I could watch a whole full hour.
So you say, but for all we know, I mean, it could have been an exciting match. But the point is not an exciting match. No matter what anybody says, they don't really care. Like they don't know necessarily what a good match is, and I don't say that to insult fans and stuff like that. They don't really know what a good match is. They just know what they like, right? And but still, in sports and in wrestling and whatever, the only two questions that really matter is who's going to win and who won. And those questions come up depending on what time, where in the timeline you are, right? If you missed it or not, right? That's all anybody really cares about, even to this day, even in a fake sport. They're still like, well, who won? That's what we want to find out, right? And that's what they're giving us here. Like, if you didn't want to tune into BTI, they're still going to let you know who won or give you the action. So let's talk about the what we saw here. Now, if you remember in the past, I praised the way that TJP and other guys in the matches with Alexander would get out of the ankle lock relatively quickly, because we've discussed how it's a shoot hold. It's not really a painful thing. It's more of a, look, I've got you in this. Are you going to tap out or not type thing? And if not, I'm going to break it. So doing the long extended spots of I'm in the ankle lock doesn't really make sense realistically. And so here, that's what they did, which is exactly what I was saying that they shouldn't do. And that's exactly what I was praising them for not doing in the past. But they went here. And not only that, but
It was a long time that they were in this.
And yeah, long. And if you remember, or if you noticed, TJ was reaching for the ropes, but he was kind of alligator arming it. Like he just there. Yeah, there was that. And then when he had his arm fully extended, he was just holding his arm straight out, and he wasn't like, now you would be lurching forward with your body trying to reach the rope. So if you want to do that spot, he should have been closer toward the middle so that he could lunge at the rope and not make it while Alexander's holding him there. That's how you do that. Now, granted, I know these guys just went an hour and he's probably tired, but I also know that his conditioning is really good, and both these guys can go an hour and it should be fine. They went longer than an hour. So like, you still should have had some energy left to be able to make that last part believable, because that's the most important part. That's the part that your viewers are now tuning in to see. So if they didn't see all the other stuff that you did in the first place, they're only going to see these last few minutes and these last couple of seconds here, and all they're going to see is TJP alligator arming toward the ropes, and it kills some of the believability. So you're working your ass off just to look phony in the end, kind of thing, right? And maybe that's a thing that a lot of fans don't notice, but maybe it's subconscious. Maybe you guys do notice. Anybody in the chat who saw this and noticed, let me know if you noticed that TJP's just laying there with his arm extended rather than making it look like he's making an effort to move his body towards the ropes, because he could have easily grabbed it. Like if this was a shoot and some guy had you in an ankle lock and you like lunged forward to grab that rope because you're afraid of getting your ankle broken, you could do it. He's not strong enough to hold you like 2 inches away from the ropes from you making it, right? So,
yeah, no.
So, you know, for these guys who I think the whole idea is they pride themselves on the wrestling version of the wrestling contingent of the actual presentation. Like, these guys are the workers. You would want them to have not made those mistakes. That's something else I noticed. Another thing I noticed, they also had the locker room sellout type thing where they had everybody around the ring watching and cheering kind of thing to add like a little bit more to it. And if you notice, Soda Thompson was out there with his notepad. Did you catch that? He had a notepad. He was taking notes.
Yeah, they were. Yep.
So yeah, so that's all I have to say. Now, the other question you asked about sudden death, like should it go to sudden death? Well, the most famous Iron Man match of our lifetime was WrestleMania 12, and they set that precedent with the overtime thing. So like if you end an hour match in a draw, I mean, I guess this was a title match, right? Like if TJP won, he was going to be the
won, it would have been for the title, yeah.
So in that instance, I can see it making sense to be a draw, even though I know that lots of NWA title matches in the past that went an hour with Ric Flair and Harley Race and all those guys did not go to overtime. But that's something you got to establish. If you don't establish hour time limits and draws for your championship matches, then I guess it doesn't matter. You can do a sudden death and no one will really think twice about it, because you haven't established that matches run out of time. I mean, there's barely anybody that uses time limits. I think the only people that use time limits are New Japan, and they rarely go to the draw. It does happen occasionally, but just like in real life, that's, you know, NFL teams tie occasionally. You know, that doesn't happen, although it happens a lot more lately.
I remember the first time disgusting. I think they tied, and the Donovan McNabb was like, "I didn't even know that was a thing." Yes, Donovan, you can have ties in football.
Yeah, it sucks, but it happens. I mean, I don't know about you, but like if I see that third one in the the one in the third column of my football team, I'm annoyed. Like it's just Dude,
it's happened in the UFC. The UFC has this bad juju of whenever they do tournaments. Back in the day, BJ Penn and Kyle Uno had a fight for the vacant lightweight title, and guess what? Match ended in a draw. That fight ended in a draw for the title, and it's like, all right, guys, and that basically that killed the lightweight division in the UFC for several years, and then the same thing kind of happened with Uncle Creepy versus Demetrius Johnson for the first flyweight title. Ian McCall clearly won that fight, and in the finals of the tournament, they called it a draw. And then the next time Ian McCall and Demetrius Johnson fought, Ian McCall was a little bit older because he was a little bit more of a veteran than Demetrius Johnson was, and Demetrius Johnson was just starting his incredible run at flyweight and just dominated Ian McCall in the second fight that they had. So it's like Ian McCall's career might have been a little bit different had it not ended in a draw and stuff like that. But you got to have this a final say on this type of stuff. You can't just have it end in a draw.
Yeah, especially when people already think that the judges are corrupt. Like if you're fixing these fights already, or you've already somewhat predetermined like who's going to go over in these matches if it goes to a decision, then why the hell wouldn't you do it there where a vacant title is on the line? You got to give it to somebody just to get everybody home and out of there. You know what I mean?
Figure out a way to like have an odd round so that there's no possible way for them to have a tie. Like all right, we're gonna like put it in the rules. And you'd think the UFC had gone through it before with BJ Penn and Kyle Uno that they would know. No, they didn't. They didn't have any kind of overtime round or anything like that where there was a chance for you not to have that tie in place if there was somebody was going to have to win that round.
Well, that's my point. It shouldn't matter even if it would have legitimately been a tie, because the tie is someone's opinion. All they had to do was not have an even round when they're doing the judging. And they just, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's...
Adelaide Bird was not one of the judges. She's easily swayed by money.
Yeah. But that's the other thing, too. That's the lightweight division. No one gives a shit about that, so it's not worth fixing, right? So that's how shit like that ends up happening.
But sadly, it's like pound for pound the best division in all of
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. People think about small fighters the same way they think about small wrestlers.
Oh, yeah. No, it's all about watching Francis Ngannou knock people's heads off now. That's always been about that.
That's the most exciting thing. So anyway, but back to the point of this, which is, it's okay to do an overtime because that's something that people would kind of expect. Wrestling fans would kind of expect. They think back to Brett and Sean or any of the other times that this may have happened. So it's not really that big of a deal to do it here. I mean, you're creating your own story, so you can do it however you want. And since you don't establish time limits as a real thing, then you kind of have to go with the sudden death. So.
What if like Booker T and I think Eddie Guerrero, when they did their 7-match series, if they had gone to a draw, or when Sheamus and Cesaro did their 7-match series, if it had gone to draw?
They did. You don't remember that?
Uh-uh.
They went to a draw in the seventh match.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
I don't blame you because you weren't watching, right? And who would be? But I was watching, and they went to a draw, and that's why they ended up as a tag team.
Oh yeah, I think I do remember that. Yeah, because he came. Yeah, that's because that's how the bar card started. Yeah, no, I was watching when they formed the bar. The bar.
Yeah. And that was it, because they couldn't decide on a winner, so they got put together as a tag team, a reluctant tag team, and then they just ended up being
an awesome tag team.
They consistently stayed as a tag team. So they did do that.
That is true. Now we go. I wrote down Josh Matthews. I don't know if you guys remember the show Attack of the Show on G4. I can't remember the kids. Kevin,
Is it coming back?
No. But Josh Matthews kind of looks like Kevin Pereira from Attack of the Show when they show him. If I had a side by side, it'd be like scary how close they look to each other. I only watched that show for Olivia Munn.
Well, it's coming back, and so is she. So get ready.
Yes. Hopefully she'll have Aaron Rodgers on the show with her. We go backstage.
They broke up a long time ago.
We get another GTV segment, but this time whoever's running the GTV segment gets caught by Don Callis and the Good Brothers as they kind of plot against Sami Callihan and Moose, and they plot against Moose. Did I say Moose?
I think you did. I think that's who they were plotting against, right? Moose. It was Moose.
Backstage again with Petey Williams and Josh Alexander. Eddie Edwards comes by, gives Josh Alexander props. And we've got TJP comes in and is giving him props. Then Scott D'Amore comes in and gives him props and puts both men over. And then Alexander basically says, hey, I'm the only one here with a strap, which is untrue because we have women's tag titles and we have men's tag team titles. But he's the only one with a strap that matters. And he's the king of the mountain until, somebody gets that Impact title away from Kenny Omega, and he wants to be treated like the man on the mountain. And Jeff Jarrett.
We're going to get Josh Alexander podcast with Conrad Thompson?
Yes, we are. And
he's running out of days in the week to do podcasts.
Well, that's okay because there's 9 days in a week, according to Tony Khan. And basically, just he cut. I enjoyed this Josh Alexander promo. Like, he literally looked tired, looked beat up, looked like shit, and cut a really good promo. But then you have Chris Bay, Petey Williams, Trey Miguel, and Ace Austin all come in arguing over who is going to face Josh Alexander next. I like when Trey Miguel kind of slid the money into Scott D'Amore's thing, and Chris Bay was like, "Did you just slip money in there? Did you just do that?" And yes, X-Play was also a great show, Wolfers, but I don't think Adam Sessler's ever coming back to do X-Play. But I don't think they announced it, but we all know what's going to happen here. We're going to get another 4-way for a number 1 contendership for the X Division title. It seems like just a couple months ago, if not just a month ago, we had another multi-man match to determine the number 1 contender for the X Division title. Can we not with the multi-man matches for the X Division title?
No, we cannot not. We have to. And what you see as a pattern here, since we've been watching, and probably way before, right, where people come up, say things to each other in sequence, and then either Scott D'Amore walks up and says, "Hey guys, that sounds like a good idea. Let's have a match." And then, or someone will walk up to Scott D'Amore later and say, "Did you see that thing that those guys were saying?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I think they should have a match." That's as far as the creativity goes in terms of booking these matches. So yeah. But to answer your question, no, we cannot not.
We cannot not. But this, again, all throughout the show, this was, we had it last week with promos getting interrupted, and we had it again this week. It was nothing but nonstop interruptions of promos. But we got a tables match. We've got Rohit Raju versus Jake something in a tables match. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. It was back and forth, and then I liked the end when Rohit throws the chair right at Jake something's face, and it just pisses Jake off, and he runs right through Rohit through a table and wins the match. What are your thoughts on this match? Are you becoming a fan of Rohit? Are me and Ray rubbing off on you with how good Rohit is?
You guys have nothing to do with it. I can't be swayed by your low tier opinions, but I can see for myself that he's decent. But it doesn't matter how good you are. It's a tables match, bro. Like, this just.
Would you have put, if you were booking, would you have put a tables match after the Iron Man match that we just saw to kind of start the show off?
Well, to anybody that just watched the show, which I assume is most people, like, if you're even watching Impact, you're probably not watching BTI. You're lucky to be watching. They're lucky if you're watching Impact. So, to them, it's just an 8-minute match. Then you get a tables match. So I don't really know. I mean, it's fine, I guess, in the placement of it, but it's just not. I don't know. The whole idea of a tables match is ridiculous. I'm just not a fan of any of that stuff, really. And so you see these, like, they're trying to do the best they can with it. I think Rohit's trying to do the best he can with the situation. He's trying to make it a little bit different. He's trying to apply some intelligence to like some of the spots and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's a tables match is not for me. I'd be interested in hearing what you thought about it, really, or anybody in the chat. What did you think of this tables match if you saw it? But the one thing I do have to point out is that on the commentary, and I rewound it a couple times just to make sure I didn't mishear him, Josh Matthews called Rohit a good worker in this match.
He did.
Verified. Yeah. So
that's
maybe we should get Kevin Pereira to be on commentary, because I don't think he would do something like that. That's at least one thing that you don't have to worry about guys like the Adnan Virks and the Jimmy Smiths of the world.
Hey, don't you say anything bad about Jimmy Smith. Don't you do it. Do it, Vet.
You interrupted me for that?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything bad about Jimmy Smith. I was going to say that besides the fact that I actually thought he did fine.
I'm
But
right, he did fine.
I know that's the only reason you would watch Monday Night Raw because
That
you're a
was the
mark.
only reason why I
You're a
watched.
mark.
For Jimmy
But
Smith, yeah. I called in the next day and told him he did a great job too.
you called in from work so you could recover.
No, I called his show.
After
I called his
busting you a
show,
little-
and
no.
because he has a show on Sirius XM, I called his show and was like, "Hey, great job! You're the only reason why I watched Monday night." And then we talked some UFC. So
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll get the link to that audio clip here in the description after the show goes in archive. But I wanted to say there's something you don't have to worry about these guys they're bringing in to do WWE commentary is that they're not going to know any of those terms, so they can't accidentally get too comfortable and let inside terms slip on the air on your broadcast. You're not going to hear Jimmy Smith call somebody a good worker because he wouldn't say that because he
call
doesn't know
somebody
what
a
that
good brother.
is. Even a good brother, that's like really borderline. Like what does that mean to anybody? So I don't know, but yeah, I think yeah, this match was not for me. But did you like the match, and did anybody else like the tables match?
Did you like the tables match in the chat, ladies and gentlemen? I already said I enjoyed the table match. I thought it was a fun little match. I thought they brought it. I mean, you got to think after that first match, especially this being taped. I mean, that's got to kind of. I mean, if you saw that match and it was like a tape show, would that not kind of get you excited to kind of go out there and you want to go like do better than that match, or be like, all right, we gotta go out there and like really, is that something that you would do when you were
assuming this was all filmed in sequence, which I don't know.
True.
I don't know if it was, but I think anybody should take the opportunity to want to do the best that they can, but they also have to remember their spot. That's what makes taping a bunch of shows at once tricky, because if you don't do it in sequence, then it's hard for the talent to really get the sense of most people don't really they a lot of which is especially in AEW, like there's no sense of placement on the card in an AEW card.
Yeah.
Like especially for the pay-per-views, they all just seem to go all out in every match, and I think that certain matches only should exist for a certain, like some matches exist for the match, and some matches might exist to further something, and people are going to have the same match regardless of what their role is. So I think that everyone should want to do the best that they can in their role. That's kind of one of those things that ties back to what we were saying about talking about Mark Henry and the coaches and stuff. But it could be a coach anywhere. Like maybe not so much in WWE, just because they're very regimented in how they get their show, like the way, even besides all the script tearing and stuff like that. But as far as like the actual matches and stuff, like they know what they want to do with the matches. But like you have to like when guys get told that they have to be limited in their match, they kind of get the boo-boo face sometimes. Like, because they all want to go out and steal the show, but it's not your job to steal the show every time. But that doesn't mean that you can't have a good match for what you're doing. Like, if someone comes to me and says, hey, your time got cut, you only have 5 minutes, I'm not going to be upset. I'm just going to say, okay, now my match is 5 minutes. What's the best 5-minute match? And if my 5-minute match is specifically to get somebody else over, I'm like, what kind of match should I have to get this guy over? Not how much of my shit can I still fit into this 5 minutes, right? That's the difference. So if you're working this tables match, that's kind of like a spotlighted match. So they're probably not going to be under any real constraints. But I think what you saw here is Rohit trying to use his worker knowledge to, because he is a good worker, as Josh Matthews pointed out to the world, or the world that watches Impact anyway, which is a very small world. But he tried to make this a little different than others' tabled matches. And I think he did, but like I said, just not my cup of tea. Let's move on. We spent too much time on it.
We got William W. Morrissey wants a match, and he's backstage again bothering Scott D'Amore, but Scott D'Amore tells him that Rich Swann has already asked him for the same thing. And as Scott D'Amore is walking into the office, he hits W. Morrissey with "and you can't teach that" line before heading out.
Well, he didn't really hit him with it. He kind of mumbled it. After
he kind of mumbled it. Yeah, he doesn't want heat with Enzo on that one. Then we cut to a Rosemary promo. I'm sure you didn't really have anything on Scott D'Amore and Morrissey here. Rosemary's promo again interrupted by Havoc, who basically says, "Hey, we've teamed up in the past, but I still want that Knockouts title, and I want a piece of you." So of course, we know what we're gonna get here. Next week, we get a match with Havoc and Rosemary, and the winner of that match, if it is indeed Havoc, will get placed in a triple threat with Rosemary and Deonna Purrazzo. Your thoughts on Rosemary's promo?
It was all right. At least she wasn't a first match. But
Yep.
I highlight Wolfer's comment there. That's what I was trying to remember. Like when we first talked about Morrissey, we were going to make a Morrissey reference or the Smiths or something like that. Like I was trying to think of the name of that song that I was going to do it, and I couldn't do it. So my joke, crash and burn. But
Wolf
well,
is
actually,
always clutch in the chat with some jokes. He knows where it's at. He knows where his bread is buttered.
and I found that out. Like I heard the song or something later, and I was like, that's what it was. But yeah,
I think we were talking about it after the show, and I kind of went through some of their songs.
no, that
Are
didn't
you
happen.
sure? You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Give me some credit
100%.
for something at least. Fuck.
I will when you do something.
Then you shouldn't have said it.
So yeah, I don't really care about this promo or this. Havoc definitely seems like she had the I'm trying to remember what to say syndrome. You can usually tell by the cadence of it, and that happens. That I've done promos on camera where I've done that, and I'm not happy with it. But so it's just something to work on. She can work on her charisma a little bit.
That's good. So we we get a nice little vignette, and I'm a sucker for fun pre-tape vignettes here as we get Brian Myers. Let's see.
Not yet.
No. Sorry, I flipped the page the wrong way on my notes. We go to the ring. It's now time for Morrissey versus Swan, but we don't ever get that match because Morrissey is standing behind Swan or kind of lurching behind Swan, attacks him before the match. They get in the ring. Security comes out. Willie Mack comes out to save his boy, hits Morrissey with a chair, and as security kind of holds him back, Morrissey leaves the ring with basically just dominating Rich Swann, beating the crap out of Rich Swann. We don't get a match. We don't get anything. In the WWE, they would have had that pre-fight, and then they would have gotten in the ring, and the ref would have been like, ring the bell, and they would have started the match. But here at Impact, stuff doesn't happen like that.
Sometimes it does, and
Okay,
sometimes in the WWE they would do it too. But it depends what they want. I think this is a bigger match that can probably be saved for Against All Odds. I'd assume that's what they're doing, so they just kind of want to build towards it rather than have the match. But it would make sense that they would ask for the match because they're heated at each other, right? So
Yeah.
So that this is actually better building to make people a little more excited to see it, because we thought we were going to see it, we didn't see it, now we could see it later, and there may be a stipulation involved. Hopefully it's not something too crazy, but just something that would be like, it's probably going to be something like, no disqualifications or falls counting or something like that, is to see what they're going to do. I think they have another show before Against All Odds, right? Or
I think so. You keep it rolling. Let me look that up real quick.
But yeah, so anyway, so once again we get the security coming out, which we haven't seen this whole time until last week, and now that they're still there, so we can just say that they hire security for like sets of tapings, right? So they must not have had any
12th.
security the last. Okay, right? So there should be, there should be one more episode, right? Before the go home show is still yet to happen. So we can probably get a little bit more further that angle on that show, and then it'll be, like I said, probably a match at Against All Odds with a stip. Let's see. Willie Mack comes in with a chair. Yeah, basically all this stuff. So it's. I mean, this was good for. Of course, it could always be better. It's not my job to write them a wrestling show, but I'll say that this was good enough. I think if what they're doing is trying to build anticipation for these two guys meeting, it shouldn't have just been a throwaway match on Impact like this. It should be something bigger, because they got to fill out a card for Against All Odds, right? It's not just, you're not just going to buy it just to watch Moose and Kenny. So you got to have other matches on there, and this can definitely be one of them.
That is correct. And so we go. Let's see. Willie Mack chair. Rachel Ellering is backstage with Tennille and Caleb with a K. Mm-hmm. Are we vibing tonight? Because they seem to be vibing in the backstage, Vet. I'm just trying to figure out, are we vibing tonight? Chat, are we having them vibes? Are we vibing? We vibing in the chat tonight?
I think we're definitely in sync.
Because
there's a Justin Timberlake reference being made there, but
because would you be excited for a Tennille ring?
I don't know. Tennille seems to have the gimmick. She wants to be everybody's partner. I saw this segment. I didn't really hear it, what I did hear, I didn't quite understand. So, is what you're telling me that Tennille came up and tried to poach Rachel Ellering, kind of?
She did. She was like, "Hey, we would make a great team. We can go after those tag titles." Da 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 da. And you can tell, like, Rachel Ellering's like, "Yeah, I don't really like you. I don't really want to be here." And then Jordan Grace comes up for the save, and Jordan's like, "Hey, da da da," and Rachel's like, "Oh my God, thank God you came." And then, like, as Rachel leaves, Jordan's like, "Why are y'all even back here?" And like Tennille and Caleb make like this excuse or whatever for why they're back there, and that's the end of the segment.
Yeah, Wolfers is frying from the heat, and I don't know if that counts as vibing, but I can relate. That's why I'm in the tank.
That is vibing, and also K-Bob with the good vibes on this Friday night.
Yeah, I'm liking how the show's going. I'm feeling it. I like.
You're feeling it. You're feeling the flow.
It doesn't feel like a Havoc promo to me.
It doesn't feel like a Havoc. Does it feel like a Does it feel like a Jellering promo?
Yeah, I mean, they're all right. So clearly the idea here is that Jordan Grace is the weak link. That's the story they're telling. They're telling that basically Rachel has come in to help Jordan out, and now Jordan is like not holding up her end of the deal. So that's kind of where they're going, but they're being a little more subtle with this. Not subtle in the sense that they keep going back to it, but at least they're not hammering you over the head with ham-fisted promos and stuff like that of bickering between the two, which you normally get. So that's working out. It just depends on your level of interest in all these talents. So while I do like Tennille, I haven't been totally impressed with anything she's really been doing here since I've been watching, and not her fault. I'm just saying the situations that she finds herself in. But the gimmick of being a heel that wants to be everybody's friend and partner is interesting. So I'll go with that. And
she just wants to be accepted.
Yeah. Well, it seems like she's definitely feels accepted. I mean, her talk show is a guest host to interview her every week. So that, it definitely seems like she's pretty comfortable with herself. So I don't know. We'll see.
I got a fun drop for you. Next time Morrissey comes out and they need more security, Scott D'Amore should run out and say,
"Guards! More guards!"
Yeah, that one you can keep.
That one I can keep that one. Thank you. Anytime there's a melee and we have security, you're gonna hear
"Guards! More guards!"
on the Impact Attack with myself and the Vet. Now it's time for the vignette that I was jumping the gun on here. We have the most professional wrestler with Brian Myers. And Myers is trying to train up old Soda Thompson here, trying to get him good and right. And he's got a gimmick for him. He kind of makes fun of the terrible tats. He makes fun of him for having 2 sunglasses and the happy trail. I haven't heard somebody talk about a happy trail since like the mid to late 90s. When that was a thing. Next, we're gonna find out that Soda Thompson has a tramp stamp. That'll be the next thing that they or a terrible tribal tattoo. Robbie Lawler was the first guy with the tramp stamp that was like, you could tell he started to get the tattoo and the tramp stamps became a thing and he never got it filled in. It's just the outline of the terrible tattoo that he was trying to get on his back.
At least Lance Archer turned his into it looked like a graveyard of some sort,
like a full back tattoo or whatever. And then he has Soda Thompson show him his entrance, and Soda Thompson comes out, does the hair, smells the fingers, and Brian's like, "Whoa, what the hell are you doing?" He's like, "Let's rewind that back," and he goes straight to smelling the fingers. He's like, "Why are you smelling your fingers?" "I wanted to smell the product in my hair." And I was trying to come up with I was going to ask you to tell me to do an entrance, and then I was just going to do something ridiculous, but I don't really feel like doing it right now.
We can work on that off the air.
We can work that off the air. That's a little skit here on the Impact Attack.
So Ray was trying to act like he didn't know who Soda Thompson was. He's not putting it over, right? And so did I not get it over hard enough? I feel like I explained it once, but just in case anybody missed it, I said Juice Robinson is part of New Japan, and now he's going back to New Japan. He's only on loan to Impact, and Impact probably like what they saw. So they can't have Juice Robinson. They need their own version, and so they got Soda Thompson. That's what they need to go with. And just like the real life, Juice Robinson has a Tony Storm by his side, I'm thinking Soda Thompson can get his own Australian and have Tennille. Like, that can be kick Caleb to the curb with a K, and then bring in Soda Thompson.
Kick with a K.
That's right. Kick with a K. Kick with 3 Ks. K-I-K-K. So I think that's what they should do. But yeah, Soda Thompson is Sam Beal, for those that are wondering. But we're just going to refer to him as Soda Thompson from here on out. But Colin, after watching this vignette, like, can you not totally get why I came up with this joke in the first place?
Yeah.
Like, just looking at him standing there, he even has like the proportions of Juice Robinson to a degree. You know what I mean? With the weird torso shape and probably
he's
and those little the like the capri pants or whatever he's wearing. It's just like, this guy definitely wants to be Juice Robinson. There's no doubt about it. Even if Impact doesn't want him to be. Yeah. So So
yes, Wolfers.
Soda Thompson. Let's all get it over together. Let's get it trending.
Let's all say it together. Everyone in the chat. 1, 2, 3. Soda Thompson.
And we'll get it trending on Twitter. Hashtag Soda Thompson.
Hashtag
Soda Thompson. Hashtag Moose Moose.
Did you enjoy Brian Myers' entrance? He came out with the mask, and then Soda Thompson makes the jab about, I don't even know why you're wearing the coronavirus mask. That's not what that's for.
Yes. Now this stuff is a little too sports entertainment for my taste.
Oh,
but
I love this.
Taking that,
I eat this
right,
shit up.
This is what Colin wants, right? The elite fan. He wants this kind of stuff. So but for what it is, for what this is, they did it well. I thought it was funny, and it was okay. And Brian Myers didn't expose the business necessarily in this. He did a little bit, but not directly. He didn't say like, "You're interrupting my promo." But Flavor Jones, it's a little too soon. It's a little dated. Dated.
I will tell you, I was a fan of the Elite, and that's with Powers and our own Dr. Ted McNaylor. They were the real Elite before the Elite. The Elite. We go. We get the tease of Havoc versus Rosemary next week for the chance to make the match a triple threat. And Deonna Purrazzo is not happy. She's not like this. This is ridiculous. Now I have to defend my title against 2 people, possibly. This is just. And then we go to the ring. We've got Fire and Flava versus Jellering. I'm going to be honest with you. I always tune out Jordan Grace matches. I watched a little bit of this match. I really like Fire and Flava. These girls can go. And the finish of this match, again, with Jordan Grace taking the pin. Again,
for the story.
Yeah, for the story. Yeah, she's taking the pin. But they get a splash onto Jordan Grace to win the match. Your thoughts on this? Did you watch this, or was this one that you listened? Was this a match that you listened to?
Well, I want to be clear and say that if I have to go out of my way to talk about a show, I'm going to pay attention to it. So, like, I do pay attention to every Impact match, even though I kind of was a little fuzzy on that Tennille promo for whatever reason. Like, I didn't really get it, but like I do pay attention to the Impact shows, which, it's unfortunate.
That was AEW we were talking about, yeah.
Yeah, but that's my commitment to you guys. Like, if you're gonna tune in and spend your time with us, I'm not gonna half-ass it. So, like, I'm gonna at least make sure that I have something to say. Now, if there's nothing to say about it, because either they basically did everything okay, then that's another thing. But I don't want you guys to think I'm phoning it in for you. So I did pay attention to this to the degree that I'm bringing this up. So if you remember me talking in the past about, when people do, like, they're in a headlock and then they push the person off and then they spin, right? And I said that a lot of times people spin the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like they'll push the person off and then just completely spin the opposite direction from where the momentum would go. Well, here Tasha Steelz did a picture perfect shoot off spin off the headlock with Jordan Grace. She pushed her in the ropes and it looked like she was stumbling around, and she fed back into the tackle at the perfect time. You already put over like Fire and Flava. They've got a ways to go, but damn it, they're trying. Like I don't really have too many complaints about their matches. And I like their characters, and I like everything they're doing. I don't want to say we've been sleeping on them, but we haven't really been putting them over here on the.
Well, we haven't seen them a lot though. That's the thing.
We have. We've seen them like every week, but they're not. We just like, and we never say anything bad about them really. But we
should highlight them more like we do Moose and Rohit. Definitely,
yeah,
they're bright spot.
They're slowly like they're making a case for being like they're steady. You know, they're reliable. They're doing the best they can with what they have. They're not perfect, but the complaints that you would have about them, you have the same complaints about lots of indie workers from all over the place. So they're doing fine in that aspect. I will say that while Rachel is being choked, Josh Matthews is shilling trading cards for Impact. How sad does somebody have to be purchasing trading cards in 2021?
I
for
see
Impact.
It a lot. As well, yeah, Impact cards. I see people open booster boxes of all kinds of cards, like WWE cards and that. But the worst is when people buy the online cards. Like, what's the point of buying? That's like an NFT. Why even own that crap? Like, you buy the card to show it off and all that stuff, not to just be like, hang on, crap, my hard drive crashed. I lost all my cards. No.
Dude, to me, cards are sad now. It's just sad. Like when I was a kid, cards were cool because we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the internet, bro. Okay, cards are just, it's sad now. So, but anyways, yeah, definitely sad when somebody's being choked to death and the announcer's like, and you can buy Impact trading cards.
Oh, you know, gosh, like, okay. There's been several times in the UFC. I always go back to the UFC where there's one fight in particular. Mike Goldberg is shilling. And the knockout and the finish happens, and he doesn't even like stop the read to react to the knockout. He is in full like, this is the movie brought to you by so and so. And Joe Rogan's like trying to go crazy on the mic, and Goldberg's like, nope, we're finishing the read, and then we're gonna react over the knockout. Like that's why Goldberg got fired, because you got to just stop and react.
Is that really why you got fired?
No, he got fired for a lot of other things.
Okay, all right, So yeah, that's bad. But there's times you do that. The best time to do that is like right when they come out to start the next round. You just get your quick plug in, you know, not in the middle of a.
I think that's what happened. The round had just started, and he goes to do the plug, and it was like a real quick finish, and he's already in the middle of the sentence.
Well, then he should do it in the scene where they're getting up off the stool, but it should never come when there's action. The point is, it's stupid, and they were selling micro brawlers too earlier during a match. I don't know if anybody's getting choked. I don't know if anybody's getting choked, but it still happens. So this is kind of like a bad. They got enough spots in the show that are slow where they could put this stuff over. But
WWE's actually done that, Wolfers. There was a mobile like somewhat fighting game that the WWE came out with, and you could go buy the toys, and the toys had like a card thing that you could put into the game, and then you could get that character in the game and use that character. So the WWE has done stuff like that before.
Yeah, and they have multiple games out now too. Like they got what's the super card, and
they got the super card one,
like undefeated or something like that. Some
there's
name
the one
like
that's
that.
the puzzle. It's like a puzzle game, and then depending on how you do on the puzzle game depends on how your character does. And then there's another one where like you just tap the screen, like one of those like Mortal Kombat fighter games that's also there too. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Impact really is. I mean, they got to worry about a lot of other things before they get to that. But what do I know? There was also a move in this match where they did like a double team. It was like Jellering did a muscle buster into a power bomb. I don't know if you saw that.
I missed that.
Well, it was kind of worthless in the end, because not only did Rachel just sit on her ass and barely touch Tasha Steelz, but she wasn't even the legal person, so she just had to move over while Jordan went for the cover anyways. So it's like, so you can imagine like the muscle buster position, you can imagine that, and then her just dropping her backwards into like a power bomb, but it was really just a muscle buster, and Rachel Ellering sat down. It did she, and she wasn't, she wasn't legal, like I said. So just very awkward. Like I see they wanted to do something, but it didn't look great. Maybe they can either work on that or leave it out. And I also just want to mention that I definitely caught after they picked up the win, I definitely caught Kira twerking with her belt. I don't know if you saw that, but she was
Plus, that's why you gotta love the antics of Fire and Flavor here. That's why they're over with Colin and the Vet here on the Impact Attack, only on Patreon.com/Hameen Media Group, where you can find all kinds of free stuff. I'm gonna talk over the action while we plug the shows, but we go backstage. We've got Don Callis coming up to Sammy as he's trying to cut a promo, more interrupting promos. And Don Callis is working hard. That invisible hand. He's trying to really butter up Sami Callihan, but Sami Callihan's having none of it. And I really like this line from Don Callis is when he's like, it's hard when you get into your own head, and he feels like he knows that. He's been there. Don Callis has been there, and he's just trying to give some brotherly advice to Sami Callihan.
And Sammy tells him to get out.
That's to the twerking there. Peaches all over the place there. Then we have Kojima backstage warming up as they tease Kojima match is next, and they show Eddie Edwards walking up to Kojima and talking to him, telling him good luck. And I don't know if you caught this part, but Kojima audibly tells Eddie Edwards, I don't know English. I don't speak English.
I don't speak English, sorry. Yes. He apologizes for not knowing English.
But then later on, during the Kojima match, they put over that Eddie Edwards and Kojima were friends over in New Japan while Eddie Edwards spent time. So you would think that Eddie would know that Kojima doesn't know English if they were friends like that, and why he would just come up and start speaking English to him. And that just, or even just cut that out. Why would you even still leave the if this is all pre-tape, why leave the part where he's like, I don't speak English? Clearly he's...
Well, of course they're playing "We Own the Night" over it, so they probably didn't think anybody could hear that. But
what were they playing?
They were playing. That's what they probably thought was going to happen, but instead they heard it, right? So
yeah, it got caught. We got picked up.
Which is great, but you know how Japanese people are. They they don't want to do anything that they don't do well. So I know he speaks English, but he just
had a promo last week in English.
Yeah, he's a little self-conscious, so he's not gonna, but I mean, they know enough to be friends, obviously. So, and that's how those relationships work. You just go places and travel together, and you find those common bonds. Yep. So, but we did get that, and yes, I did catch it, and yes, it was funny.
And we're time for the Burt Macklin segment of the show. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Parks and Rec is here on the Impact Attack, and he's drinking some Jameson. It's just a nice little promo where guys just kicking back, relaxing, drinking some Jameson. I don't know if
no karate though.
If the glass is etched with the Burt Macklin logo there, I think it was. Doesn't say anything. Just kind of calmly drinking his Jameson, old Burt Macklin. But yeah, Burt Tyrannosaurus Macklin. I'm sorry, I apologize. You got to throw the middle name in there. Burt T-Rex Macklin. Thoughts on the vignette? Are you excited? I know there was a lot of hate online from people that were like, Burt Macklin gets cut from the WWE and Riker still has a job. Well, Riker's probably not going to have a job here soon, guys. They're making cuts. They're cleaning house.
It is very it's very telling that the guy that makes the pro-Trump tweet gets the whole group taken off TV, and the two guys that came out immediately and said, we are not with this guy, they're the ones that get released in the end. So that just shows you, like, if you pay attention in a long enough timeline, you can see how the WWE really operates, right? So,
and now they're actually
we're going to take you off TV now, but don't worry, you'll be the only one left.
Well, now they're kind of putting that over because now in the storyline with Elias, Elias is like, I can't ride with that guy. The stuff that he says, like they're trying to make Riker seem like the crazy guy now. Like they're trying to use that now on the show as part of the storyline. So you got nothing there on the Burt Macklin vignette. So we go backstage again with Fire and Flava going to Scott D'Amore's office. They're touting that they got nobody. They're the kings of the mountain here at Impact because there's no strap, there's no nothing. They're the ones that are in charge. They want some talent to go up against. Damn it, Vet. They want
a podcast with Conrad Thompson.
They want something more than what they're getting from the women's division in Impact Wrestling. And Scott D'Amore says that, you know what? Perfect thing. It seems like Scott just has it out for these two women. Each and every week, he's like, oh, you think that? Okay, I got something for you. And hang on, wait, let me do the proper Scott D'Amore. I think I got something for you guys. Let me go in here. There's just the thing for you. And
two moms walk out.
Outwalk your favorite wrestlers, Susan, who proudly proclaims that she was touched inappropriately by one of the girls, and your favorite wrestler, Kimberly, who wasn't wearing her. Maybe she's listening to the show. She wasn't. She was dressed appropriately and not bad, if I say so myself.
Yeah, well, it's cosmetic business, kid. So, yeah. But yeah, so this is not getting me too excited. It's gonna be now we're gonna see how good Fire Flavor really is because they gotta be in there with these fucking shitbags that can't work at all. That's usually a recipe for disaster. I do like Fire and Flava, but I don't know if they're at that level yet. So in fact, I'm sure they're not. So it's like this is gonna be ugly, but what can you do? This is how you learn, I guess. This is one way to learn. You can learn with working with people that are way better than you, but when you're the ones that are way better, it's
time to move on.
It's tough. I can definitely relate to that.
Are there any women's tag teams that they can face in AEW? Like this is where that we need this crossover with some of these Impact people going to the AEW roster and getting, because they're doing it with NWA. I mean, why not bring Fire and Flavor over to wrestle a couple of your girls over there? Why not bring Josh Alexander over there to wrestle some people? You know, we're going to see Moose and Kenny, but bring some of these people that are your top tier talent and bring them to AEW and see how they do against other somewhat top tier talent in AEW and let them wrestle with some of these guys. Now, I'd keep them away from the lower tier guys, but who knows what they can do.
Well, who's an upper tier guy? That's the question we have to ask, because
that's right, society.
I don't think AEW really has what you would call a women's tag team division.
No, they don't. They don't have a women's tag team division. They
had a tournament, and the winners of that tournament was Diamante and Ivelisse, and they got like little medals or whatever to carry around, but like they barely did anything with that. So they definitely have enough people on the roster to make tag team divisions, but they're not making a push for it. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't.
There's rumors of a trios title, but
they definitely don't really need that either. So I think but yeah, they're like, you could see we had the whole division last week in one match. So you can see that it's pretty thin to have a women's tag team division, but you almost have to have one, right? Just because Impact they've been pushing the knockouts to the forefront since long before anybody else was. So it only makes sense that they do something like a tag team championship, but they just don't have enough people there, and they can't afford to just bring in a bunch of people either.
Well, maybe next set of tapings, like Society said, we get an Iconics reunion. Maybe Heidi Lovelace, aka Ruby Riott, shows up. What about Santana Garrett? She could show up in the Impact Zone. You never know.
Again, I think if I'm not mistaken, Society Reviews this comment is meant to be a little sarcastic.
He's not being real?
He said the work of the women's division will surely improve when Peyton Royce shows up.
He's totally being serious about that. She's iconic, bro. Iconic. Like they were a reason why they're iconics. They're some of the best talent in all of WWE, which is why they're not there anymore. WWE's like, you're so good, we got to let you go. We got to let you go on your own here. You're just way too good for us.
I love them. I'd hire them. I'm not sure I'd hire them for the work, but I mean, there's worse people out there, and you're gonna see how much worse when you get that tag team title match with the Moms against Fire and Flavor. So,
Well, can we get to your favorite portion of the show here? I'm assuming this was your
second favorite.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Well,
Don't be stupid, Colin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. How could I have besmirched Moose like that?
There it is. There it is right there. 2 women's tag teams in all of wrestling and 5 women's tag team belts.
Putting it over right there. We've got Cody Deaner versus Kojima. And again, I already kind of put this over. They put over in the chat that Eddie Edwards is longtime friends with Kojima. And Eddie Edwards doesn't know that Kojima does not speak English that well. But I watched this match. I kind of skipped a little bit because it was getting time for me and you to start recording. And for the most part, it seemed like Kojima was running roughshod all over Cody Deaner until we kind of got the interference from Violet by Design. Out hits Eddie Edwards with Kenny the kendo stick, and kind of being the equalizer there. And Kojima goes over with the lariat. His signature move, as that's all that you saw in his Jumbotron entrance, was him just lariatoing people like a crazy man. And your thoughts on this match, Vet? I like this match. Kojima, it's different. It was different to see Kojima just run roughshod all over a white dude. He's getting all of that Asian American hate that's going on, and he's taking it out on Cody Deaner. Cody Deaner.
I mean, how can you like when you look at Kojima? Like, how could there be any Asian American hate in anyone's heart? Like, look at him; he's just so cuddly. Like his face is just very like.
Still a thing, Big Ray.
He's an adorable man, and you just want to hug him. Of course, he will clothesline you. He will be doing that, but just he does look cuddly. So, I mean, this was exactly what it was. They're trying to get over something with him and Doring. Am I supposed to know who Joe Doring is? Like, really? Am I?
Did you not? I thought you watched Japanese wrestling. Is he not big over in Japan? Because they tried to make it seem like Kojima and him were like a thing over there.
I really don't know who you think I am, but I don't watch. I watch Japanese wrestling now. I'm not like a historian or anything. I don't know anything about this. This Doring guy, but they're making it seem like I'm supposed to. I certainly did not follow All Japan, and I assume that during the time that he was involved with All Japan, that was long after the prestige days of All Japan. So, so this match was to set up, that match that we're definitely going to get it Against All Odds because they've already advertised it. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, like I said before, and I'll say it I'll say it again. When people want the New Japan crossover, with all due respect to Kojima, and he's due plenty of respect, I don't think this is what they have in mind, because he's a 50-year-old man, and that doesn't necessarily represent the current crop of New Japan stars and talent. Now, granted, I can understand why New Japan's not going to want to send those guys anywhere to somebody's basement somewhere to have a match with a nobody like Cody Deaner. I get that. I get why you're not going to send like Naito for that.
But they sent El Fantasma for a VSK match.
I mean, it's a Canadian favor, right? Like, Canadians doing favors. So, yeah. I thought, like you said, the match was good. The match was what it needed to be. I'm sure that all three Americans.
Chat.
Yeah.
Or he wants to check your receipt as you're trying to walk out of Walmart, which is something that they can't do.
Is he in every Walmart, or just certain ones, or like his hometown one? So it was a fine little short match. Kojima got all his shit in, and that's all that really matters. He doesn't have much shit to get in, but he's a good worker.
That's all we need.
He's a good worker in the sense that he's not, people have this mistaken conception that everybody in Japan beats the shit out of you. They only work that way sometimes because over there it's still real to them, so they still have to keep that up for the public. But every one of those guys is a worker, and they know how to work. So when he comes over to America, he's not just going to beat the shit out of Cody Deaner. He's going to work light and do like a regular match. He knows how to do that. He's good at that. he's never was one of those super stiff guys anyway. He's definitely a worker, like a light worker. So you're not going to see him kill anybody here. But he looks big and tough, and it's nice for Impact, I guess. It's just like I said, it's not really. I don't think what the American fans would want when they're wanting representation from other companies in a crossover.
Yeah, and the only place in America that you're going to get a stiff beating is at the Tokyo Spa. Just ask Robert Kraft. Next, we've got Moose cutting a promo in the back. He's interrupted by Don Callis as Don Callis is playing both sides. And basically kind of tells Moose the same thing that he told Sami Callihan. But Moose, again, is not having it, as Moose told him that he stopped listening to him the minute he said, "Hey, baby."
Yeah. So 75% of the show is done before we get one Moose sighting.
So still terrible. He should at least be in every segment, like in the back, like when Scott D'Amore was like talking to Fire and Flava, you open the door, you should see like Moose sitting on the chair, and then like out comes Kimberly and Susan, or like when they were giving props to Josh Alexander, like Moose is kind of back there just like doing rubbing the wrist, just staring or like getting warmed up. Just we need him interjected like a Photoshop into each segment. We need more Moose. Scott D'Amore, if you're listening, we need more Moose.
Moose should be like the Godzilla at Juice Robinson and Tony Storm's beach getaway.
Yes, that he should be.
It should be Soda Thompson, Tennille, and then Moose emerging from the ocean.
Ray would do that, but he doesn't know who Soda Thompson is, unfortunately.
That's too bad. He knows who Joe Doring is, though.
They should have a small picture-in-picture with what Moose is doing through the whole entire night. Like, we need to have the Moose cam and check in on Moose like every few minutes.
Loop it. You could loop it. You don't have to literally have him do something all the time, but you could do a little loop. The people won't really pay attention.
That is true. And then we have a Violent by Design promo. Cutting a promo on Eddie Edwards is Eric Young. And again, they are interrupted by Decay, just like they were last week. Decay came from the one side last week. Now they're coming from the other side. Again, I still think it's because Crazy Steve can't see. He's not quite sure where he's going. We're going to get Violent by Design with the Freebird rule in place, as they don't want Black Taurus and Crazy Steve don't want to go up against Joe Doring and Rhino. They want Cody Deaner and I'm assuming Eric Young to defend those titles. So
is he cleared to defend titles?
I don't think so. I don't know. So it might be Rhino and Cody Deaner with Eric Young kind of in the corner there. But I suspect that Violent by Design is going to keep those titles by design. And that's it. Do you have anything on this segment?
No, other than it was missing Scott D'Amore to come up and make it official.
It was. Guys, we're going to make this an official match. I'm Canadian, and I said so. It's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then finally, Moose versus Sammy.
Finally, we get Moose versus Sammy. That was when I stopped taking notes because I was just watching the match.
Yeah, because you were just...
Yeah. I was like,
I can't believe I'm talking to Elizabeth Shue. Hamlet 2 reference. So, yeah, definitely...
More guards!
Definitely, we got Moose versus Sammy. They promoted this match, and Moose still got the earring. I called that out recently because I wanted to be fair. As much love as we show Moose, we still got to be fair. Definitely looks like Sammy would be the type of guy that would just rip that right out, and probably
Sammy totally would rip that shit out.
Right. So, and all you got to do is just come to the ring with it and then just take it off before the match starts. It's not that big of a deal, right? So I would just do that. I don't know if he considers it like a lucky charm or something, like a sports superstition or whatever like that.
What if he loses all his powers if you take the ring out?
Yeah, I think he had powers before the ring, but the point is, though, I just don't want him to lose. I'm not worried about him losing his powers. I'm just worried about him losing a chunk of his ear. So that's why I don't want him to wear the jewelry into the ring or anybody else. But that earring's got nothing on Luke Gallows or whatever the hell he was. What was that like?
It's Dangly, King Dangly. He's been putting it over. That's his.
Is it like a Pringle? Is it like a deflated balloon or like what the hell is it?
Seashell or something attached to the side of his ear.
What the hell is that even, man? Get that shit out of here. All right, Banned. So this was the match. It was what it was. Of course, there was a non-finish, and well. Look who's gonna be in the title match. Like, did I not say I didn't believe that they were gonna go through with this? Like, I just did not believe it was gonna be
Kenny.
a straight up Moose versus Kenny match. I told you, did I not tell you? And look where we're at.
So Kenny's got to clearly go over here then. They're going to have some kind of screwy finish because they left Moose getting the beat down. Like, Moose was – but the end of the match, Moose was hurt. And of course, the Good Brothers come out. They interrupt the match after Sammy is basically about to get the win here. And Moose was still selling the arm even while they were beating down on Sammy. And then they came over and beat down on Moose. So, like, Moose was the one that got beat down the most, and usually in wrestling booking, especially in WWE booking, that means he might be the one going over. But I don't see it now that they've added Sammy to the match. I still see Kenny beating both Moose and Sammy, and then being like, well, who I got left? And then they're going to find some schmuck Eric Young is going to beat Kenny Omega for the Impact World, or Eddie Edwards, or Tommy Dreamer. Somebody ridiculous, and not Moose, when it should be Moose. Is going to beat Kenny Omega for this.
No matter what, Moose is not walking out of there. If they find a way to an excuse to get it onto Sammy or whatever, or like you said, to keep it on Kenny for whatever reason, I don't know. Like, I don't know what reason they have to keep it on him, because this is like clearly the best angle that they've got where they could get the belt off of Kenny. Right now, it's a triple threat match, whatever. Right, so it'd be no shame if one of the other two guys pins each other to win it, because then they could say, well, I lost this title, I never got beat, right? I just don't think it's going to be Moose that does it. I think it would be Sammy, if anybody, that ends up pinning Moose. That's just how I see it going.
If they make Moose take the pin in this match, like,
why? Dude,
oh my God.
I'm telling you, I'm not telling you they're going to
McMahon booking this shit.
I'm not telling you they're going to do it. I'm telling you, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they do it.
Why?
Then you shouldn't have said
you deserve that for.
I didn't jinx it. I'm just telling you how these people think, dude. It's like you got the obvious thing right in front of you. Exactly. You got the obvious thing right in front of you, and you're just gonna not do it. Okay, so like, I get that there's politics involved because you got guys working for different promotions here, and nobody wants to do the job. Or I don't think Kenny minds doing jobs, but how it is with the promoters. They don't want their guy doing the job.
Tony Khan definitely don't want him doing a job on Impact Television.
Right. So I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's just how they are. It's not my fault. I didn't jinx it. It was always going to be this way. They just made it seem like something else was going to happen. So blame them. But on that note, Society Reviews right on time. 9 days from tonight. Who's gonna be on Impact? Colin? Who's making an appearance on Impact? Or did you shut it off before we got that far?
Oh crap. No, because I watched the last little promo that Scott D'Amore and Callis were doing at the end, but I missed that. Who's
hit the drop again?
9 days from tonight.
That guy. Tony Khan will be on Impact next week to settle. Was that Andrade? No.
No, that's better.
I know who it is. It's
main roster.
It's called a callback, kid. So yes, Kenny has done a job or two. What kind of job, we don't know, or we do, or we suspect.
Is it the kind of job that Shawn Michaels is in that GIF doing? I'm not going to do the hand motions because I'm not falling for that one, because Ray's watching and he'll totally gift that out. But if you need to know, look up a certain Shawn Michaels GIF where he is pretending to work at a Tokyo spa, and you'll understand.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, it's a popular spot among sports owners. So.
Oh, hey, Ray's in the chat. If Ray's still in, Ray, are you still in the chat right now? I got something for you. It's boss time, and it's the big dog. You still can't get away from it, sir. That's only for you right there in the chat, Ray. Sorry, Bet.
No problem.
I had to get my shit in.
Go ahead. I think we need to re-record those. Like we should still have them, but
I'll
I'll
just go
coach
find
you up.
old recordings of the Smack Attack and just take them from there because I probably did them way better back then.
No, I'll coach you up and we'll do some brand new ones, and,
Okay,
and
that
you'll get
works.
them just perfect.
Coach me up like Brian Myers.
Something like that. Well, more like hopefully more like Mark Henry would be coaching people up.
It's totally
hopefully.
over. It's totally over.
All right. So yeah, so Tony Khan will be on Impact next week to sort out this whole triple threat, because it's not an official triple threat, but why would they bring it up if they weren't going to do it? So Tony Khan's going to say, Don Callis wanted to say that Tony would never want a madman like Sammy to be involved in his title match. So, of course he's going to allow Sammy to be in it, because I don't think the AEW title's on the line. So what does he care?
No, it's just Impact, yeah.
Right, so who cares? So that's what we're gonna see, and so everybody get ready for it. But that's it for Impact. But next week, I don't think you'll be. You're not going to be joining me for that.
I will not be here. I will be
Tony Khan.
I don't know if he'll get mad at me showing this, but this is where I'll be next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't show. Oh,
there's a wedding invitation right there.
All right, yeah, you
Wedding
guys
invitation
together,
of our good friend Big Ray.
Getting the band back together for some debauchery, huh?
Yeah, me, him, Billy Ray Valentine, Billy the Kid's gonna be there. I'm so excited. So excited to hang out with 1/3 of them 1111 boys from the no longer Wednesday locker room at patreon.com/Hameen Media Group, where you can no longer, well, there's one more episode of the Wednesday locker room that you can go and listen to. But is Tony Khan a big enough mark to buy Impact Wrestling and WWE? I think his dad's only going to let him have enough money for one of those, and it's probably not enough for the WWE. Okay, Bob, man, we appreciate it. Thanks for vibing with us on this show. All the vibes to you and your family here from the Impact Attack.
Yes, lots of vibes. Is he a big enough mark to do it? I don't know. I guess he could, but I don't think he'd want to. Because he's got so much on his, come on, man. He's got so many people in AEW that he's not using. Well, what does he need? What does he need Impact for?
Well, he just added Andrade to the roster, so who's getting cut tomorrow?
Yeah, he's really not cut anybody, hardly, if anybody.
No, he's letting the contracts run out so he doesn't look like a douchebag and firing people, because that's all you're seeing now.
And that's fine. That no one should say anything bad about him for that, because he signed those people when, during a time when or he got a lot of those people paid during a time when they weren't able to work. So he's already done his humanitarian efforts for indie wrestling. No one needs to judge him for that. Ray has a question for you.
Yeah, there was something in my sock, and it every time I moved my toe, it felt like there was something crawling in my sock. So it freaked me out. So I had to take my sock off, and it was like a leaf. There was a leaf in my sock, and I don't know how I was just now feeling the leaf in my sock. That's what I was doing, Big Ray. But none of that matters because we're here. Vet, do you have anything else for the listeners before we take it home?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Plug your shit.
I had plug my shit. Okay, so you can catch me here at the Impact Attack every week, no matter who my co-host might be. You never know who it might be. I mean,
we're gonna have a run-in.
There's rumors. Week. There's rumors that I have to cover for Big Ray when he's off of Next Level on his honeymoon.
Cool. I like that.
So you could see the return of the tag team of Ben Hameen and the Vet. Another rumor that may be much closer to fact is that I will be appearing tomorrow on the Smack Attack.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
That's right. The open invite was put out there. I jumped on it. I want to work with everybody here, so this will be my chance to do it.
You'll have fun debuting on the show that me and Ray put on the map here at Hameen Media Group, the Smack Attack. What a great show. What great times those were. We handed it over to the Brits, and then Athers just stopped watching wrestling, and he brought on the dad bod god, Jay Reezy Ben, John Enright, to fill in the man from Texas.
Who could blame Athers? Wrestling is trying its hardest to get everybody to quit watching, and people just stubbornly stick with it. Bless their hearts.
Vet invading everywhere.
I'm coming in. It's an invasion.
Well, we were supposed to have Brad Robb was going to join us this evening, but he's having some tooth issues, so he might be the guy that fills in with you next week. You might have Rad Rob here with you if because I haven't gotten an answer on who's going to be the one to fill in. I figured you could bait Jargo into watching Impact, and you guys could sit down and chop it up. But I think Rad Rob, I think you and Rob will have a lot of fun times if he comes on. I'm going to hate that I won't be here for that. And I totally forgot when he told me he was coming next week that I wasn't going to be here.
Well, I mean, if you pussies don't want to do remote shows from wherever you're staying at during this whole wedding extravaganza, then that's on you. I mean,
I can't produce
podcast studios are portable. You could do the whole shit from your phone if you really wanted to, but that just shows his as you can. That's your level of commitment. That's fine.
StreamYard sucks on iPhone. I have terrible reception anytime I'm on.
There's other streaming.
We could probably do Zoom. I could probably Zoom. I still have my Zoom account.
The point is, there's ways to do it if you're dedicated, but it's more important to do this, get this wedding popping off, or the jump off, as Ray was saying. I'd have to explain to you what it means. So you'll probably see me on the Smack Attack tomorrow, live on YouTube, and of course later on Patreon. You may see me on the Next Level coming up this weekend, and who knows, like. It could be a quid pro quo thing. What if you see Ben Hameen back on the Impact Attack review?
Ooh, that would be cool.
You never know who's going to show up. Maybe a little Ben Hameen, Vet, and Rad Rob. You never know. You never know what you're going to see. Or Jargo. What if it's a Quattro? Like,
okay, that's you're just too much. Now you're just overdoing it.
It's too much.
But we got to
keep. Wait. Then you shouldn't have said it.
Shouldn't have said that.
But it wouldn't be Impact if it wasn't a multi-man deal, right? So, I mean, come on. I'm just trying to keep in with the spirit of the show that we do here. But other than that, for everything, you can find me at Opinion Haver everywhere, not just Twitter. It's going to be my handle on anything significant. So whether that's YouTube, whether that's Twitch, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, whether that's... didn't quite make a Grindr account, but I should get it just to take the name away from some other... some other guy, right? But just for all and the other thing too, like if you follow me, I'm not gonna like blow. I'm not one of those people that Colin could tell you I'm not like a social media. I'm not the guy that blows up everybody's timeline with a bunch of bullshit and retweets. That's even he doesn't do it that bad. So it's no risk. It's no risk to follow me anywhere. So if you feel like you want to do it, do it. If you don't,
and if you're being
that's
a
cool
mark,
too.
he might jump in your DMs and try to school you up on not being a mark, like he did me, guys. That was the start of our relationship, and we talked about that last week. But guys, for myself, Colin Wysong, you can find me everywhere at Colin Wysong. And like I said, I'm not afraid to hide behind my real name. I'm not going to hide behind a burner account or anything. If you want to cancel me, go ahead and fucking cancel me. I don't give two shits. And catch us on the A Show, patreon.com/the A Show. April and Aaron, they're freaking awesome. We just dropped an episode that had Lori Lowenberg. She's a dream expert. She came on. She taught us all kinds of cool things about dreams. She translated our dreams. I had a dream she translated. Well, it wasn't my dream. It was the Fiend's dream. She translated that. She translated a couple dreams from Aaron, from April, from some of the listeners that talked on the show. We learned some differences about the astral plane and the dream realm and precognitive dreams, like really, really cool stuff. She even gave us some tips and tricks that you could check out on our YouTube page on how to remember your dreams. Vet, she basically said that when you wake up in the morning after having a dream, you need to stay in that same position and just kind of lay there and kind of remember it, because since your body was in that position when you were dreaming, it's going to be, if you move, it's like you take yourself out of that state. So kind of lay there in that same position, kind of gather yourself, and then immediately go and get like a pen and a piece of paper and try to write down whatever you can remember from the dream. She said it's like a muscle. So the more you do it, the better you'll be remembering all the dreams that you have. Because she said we dream about 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times a night. You'll be able to remember all the dreams that you have in your little dream journal. It's really cool. And it's not pseudoscience. Like she's not a doctor, but it's actual like psychological science that she's done, like that she does for these types of stuff. And that she's been trained in and gone to school for, and check her out. She's got a couple books. She's got a website. You can follow her at, I think I might still have the thing up here.
Does she have any tips for what to do in 1-2 Freddy's Coming for You?
No, I should have asked her, if you have a psycho killer that comes in your dreams and tries to kill you, But she would probably be like, hey, you're in control of your dreams, like the Dream Masters. And she'd be like, just imagine that you have some badass superpower and that you're beating his ass like the girl did in the Dream Masters movie. But again, find all the shows that we have on Patreon. We got a lot. Go Hameen Media Group Patreon for the Rip Rogers FR podcast. We just had, like I said at the top of the show, Mark Henry was really putting Rip Rogers over strong. And we tweeted that out, and Dave LaGreca liked that tweet. Hameen Media Group's getting over with Busted Open.
Did Izzy like the tweet?
No, Izzy did not like the tweet. We're still working on getting Izzy to like our stuff here at Hameen Media Group. And check out The Beautiful People. Make sure you're checking out Two Man Power Trip, the Vito brand, Vince Russo's stuff. I'm trying to think who else. Stevie Ray TV. There's a lot of really good stuff going on here. Check out the Larry Hankins stories. Like when we move to this new network, we're gonna have so much stuff. It's gonna be wrestling's gonna be a very small portion of what we offer when we move to the new site. We're gonna have comedy stuff. We're gonna just have arts and entertainment. It's gonna be great. Make sure you follow us there. And guys, I think that's it. I think I'm ready to get out of here. And as custom here on the Impact Attack, when we say goodbye, we also say good night.
Goodbye. Mwah. Good night. Oh my God, it's so great. Bang! Yes!
It's now the time for our top five. It's now the time. Yeah. It's now the time for our top five. It's now the time. Yeah. Good night.